Hello, spacious women. I'm not 100% sure how loud this is, but I am outside at my father's house. And pretty much at every sunset here in this town in Grafton in northern New South Wales, Australia, there are like thousands and thousands and thousands of rainbow lorikeets. Like all through the sky and in all the trees. For a little while last week, I parked my car here and I was like under a toilet. We came to the car after a few days and there was just poo all over the car. It's pretty spectacular when you're walking through it. There's just so many rainbow lorikeets. But I'm not 100% sure whether it's like really loud and you can hear me or not. So if when I've done this video and I listen back to it and I realize I can't actually hear myself, I'll just do another one when it's a little less loud or when I'm inside. No, but I want to talk about the theme. I've noticed that I've been talking quite a bit about shame in these videos, and that's because there's a lot of power in actually going to those places where you feel yucky about yourself and healing it. There's so much power in that. And I want to talk about, like, my specific journey with this is anger, but it could be many other things for you. What I'm wanting to talk about is your shadows. And what I mean by shadows is the ways of being or the particular ways that you show up or particular emotions that you have deemed as wrong and that you've decided is not okay for you to feel or express. And I didn't feel comfortable with anger. I didn't even really know how to embrace it. And in general, people would call me, like, and they still do because it's who I am, like a really soft-natured, gentle person. And people would say, I can't ever imagine you getting angry. Do you ever get angry? And in my head, I'd be like, or even out loud, I'd be like, well, yeah, I do. And my children certainly know that I do. Because what happens is when I'm like stressed out and not coping and there's no one else around and no one watching except my children who are really close to me, so they get the brunt of all my stuff, I would lose it. And because I had made anger so wrong, it would be suppressed. I'd be pushing it down and then it would come out in disproportionate levels. And I'd turn into this crazy screaming woman every once in a while who just couldn't cope. And then I'd feel so bad about myself, feel so much shame and make it all wrong and go, well, I never want to be that again. And I'd have like this guilt that I'd be carrying around for this explosion that I enacted. And so the way at that time when I wasn't claiming my anger and I wasn't making it okay, I'd try to push it down even further. Like, that is not me. I don't want to be like that. I want to be the opposite of that. But what I discovered is that energy that I was making so wrong, a few things. One is that the more I make it wrong and the more I push it down, the more it keeps exploding and I feel like I have no control over it. The more it's like, I said I wouldn't do that and I still did it. Like, why is that? Like, why am I not being in integrity with my values and how I say I want to show up with my children? That's one thing that happened. Another is that I couldn't claim all of the gifts that were connected with that anger. Like, that anger is an expression of a particular energy that I need as a whole and powerful woman and mother. And when I make the anger wrong, I make all of it wrong, and I make it so it's really hard for me to access all of it. So I used to not be able to say no very easily at all, which also in another way added to me getting really angry because I wouldn't be able to say no to my children, and I'd find it really hard to express my needs and to actually make my needs valid. And so I would fall into the trap of being really quite permissive. So then I hadn't actually claimed my power and my needs, and I'd be all gentle and soft and loving, and then it would just get too much and I'd lose it and I'd just swing. from one to the other. But when I went through the process of really claiming my anger and getting over the shame around it, like, yeah, a part of me can get so angry, a part of me can be violent, a part of me can be so full of rage, a part of me is like, won't take any shit at all. The more I did that, the more I was able to understand first, and then access the gifts that were hidden in that. So I went through this process that I would love to take you through. I'd love to support you to claim those parts of you that you haven't been allowing within you. I did that with anger, and I discovered that there was this part of me that so needed and wanted to be expressed, particularly as a mother, but in so many areas of my life, that was like this powerful and loving and no shit taking woman who was like, hang on, my needs matter, and not only do my needs matter for me, but my needs matter for my children, and my needs matter for my work in the world, and I'm not living anywhere near my full potential, my full power, if I don't claim that. And I realized that whenever I was making my anger wrong, I was making that no shit taking, powerful, boundary claiming part of me wrong, and I had no access to it. So the more I was like, yes, I claim my anger, a part of me is so angry, and that's okay. It doesn't take away from the fact that I'm also compassionate and loving and caring and gentle and soft. It just means I'm also these other things. The more I could bring all of me into the fold and actually embrace the whole of me, the more I could actually know my needs, know my boundaries, and claim them with power and congruency. And my children would hear that, and it served them as much as it served me. So my invitation in sharing this with you is to tune into what you're making really wrong within yourself. So if you tune over your, just scan over your days, and like, what are the things that you do and the ways that you show up that you feel shame around, and that you feel like if someone else was looking through the window, you would freak out at the idea of that, or you feel guilty around and you're like, that's wrong, I wish I wasn't like that. And tune into what the label is, like what you're making wrong. And the first step is to practice claiming it, practice going, yes, a part of me is that, a part of me is lazy, a part of me is angry, a part of me is selfish, a part of me is shallow or consumeristic, whatever it is for you. And the more you do that, then start exploring and being open to what's the gifts in that. What have I been shutting out of my life and my expression by making that wrong? And be open to it. And if you want to go really deep on this, like, shadow work is one of the expertise that Lisa and I use in our coaching. If you want to go deeper in that, then book in a conversation with either of us. In the first conversation, we'll get really clear with you on what your shadow is. And if you want to go so deep with it, fully claiming your power and your wholeness, then you can work with us further. But there's no pressure in this first conversation to do that. Like, as I've said in the description above, like, we do only work with women who are fully a yes to it. There's no manipulation around you working with us. We trust, like, it's soul work to us. We only want to work with women who are really ready to work with us. This work is so meaningful to me. So that's important to me. So yeah, book in a conversation. Either way, if you feel a yes to, in some form, going further with this. And let me know what shadow you are ready to claim. So much love to you. I hope you can still see me and hear me. Bye.